Welcome to the 40 Fingers podcast. Yay! Yay! Woo! Hey, it's been a couple weeks since we've been online. I'm happy to be back recording more stuff. Sorry I couldn't record last week. I had the flu and I'm still recovering, but you know the flu doesn't stop us, right? The flu doesn't stop the grind. You guys know what I mean. Yeah. That was such a sad year. And I wanted to introduce to you guys a very, very fantastic guest with us, JennyToons. Woohoo! We get a round of applause. Let me get. Hey, how you doing, Jenny? How you doing tonight?
Doing good. I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Man, like, I don't know. It feels like a bit of time since we've had the last guest. Like, I feel a bit out of the loop. I guess, introduce to us who you are and your webcomic. Obviously, plug yourself.
Well, my name is JennyToons. You guys can call me Jenny.
Yeah.
And I am I'm a kid from the South Side Chicago. Woo!
Woo!
Chicago. Go Chicago. I don't really have a favorite team, so I'm just a Chicago fan. And I am the creator of Our Universe and My Demon Valentine, which is both published on Webtoons and Tapas. You can see Our Universe is actually being promoted right now by Webtoon for the Valentine's Day. So if you haven't gone to Canvas Day to see any Valentine's Day comics, now's your chance to read Our Universe. It's a very amazing comic.
Yeah.
Cosmic horror. I love it.
Yeah, and also, quick note, you can also find these comics down in the description below, so you can go ahead and straight just read it. As soon as this is up, you guys go ahead and read it. You will not regret it. But yes, carry on. Now, firstly, what I wanted to ask Jenny, right? So, what inspires your work in general? Was there really anything specific that you wanted to create with My Demon Valentine or Our Universe?
That's actually a very good question. Mm-hmm. For Our Universe, it actually started as a short writing prompt. And It was actually in the unofficial Webtoon Discord channel. Mm-hmm. There was a writing prompt and it asked to talk about the broken hearts of the universe. So my idea was to create a romance, a cosmic horror romance, about a girl who fell in love with a being with stars in her eyes. And for the story, it was supposed to be a short summer romance. So it was supposed to be like a hit it and quit it. And it was going to be tragic. And as I read over the story, and as I got more feedback, I was like, I need to make this into a comic. And so I ended up extended it. The script was for 1 season, but it ended up being 3 seasons. And that summer fling turned into a 10-year marriage. So Brenda and Redacted, they're supposed to be married for 10 years, give or take. Mm-hmm. And this is their story.
Anything about My Demon Valentine, though?
My Demon Valentine was actually another entry for the Webtoon Discord. It was 2018, yeah, that's when it was created. Mm-hmm. And it was like, make an entry for Valentine's Day. You're being like sad or happy. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes you don't need like a human to fall in love. Sometimes being in love is like being in love with a demon. So I came up with the idea of a woman summoning a demon, not to like get any riches, not to be famous, the demon to ask him out. And it was going to be romantic comedy, paranormal romance comedy, because I love my monsters and romance.
Yep.
And it was also supposed to be a short one too, like 3 episodes, but it ended up extending to 6. And right now, the bonus episodes are in production.
Ooh, okay. That's something we can look forward to as well. So really going into Our Universe, where I feel like that's your bread and butter. That's something I've been really enjoying recently, and I'm super excited to see what you've also been planning for these next few chapters. I believe I don't know if you've mentioned it before. I believe you've mentioned it before. It's starting to come to like a climax.
So right now,
Mm-hmm.
and these aren't really spoilers because the episode is already posted.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Brenda has learned Redactant's real name. It's
Hmm.
I don't really know how I pronounce it in real life, but that's beside the point. But she learns her real name, and learning her real name has attracted Redacted's actual family. Like
Ooh.
they're intruding into the household, and Redacted is like, "You should not be listening to what any of my family is saying. Okay, you don't want to hear what they're saying." But
Hmm.
Brenda is like, "No, it's okay. I want to meet your family. I want to tell them how much I love you."
That's
And
cute.
being the innocent, love struck fool that she is, she listens to one of the cousins and she gets zapped away to the land of beyond.
Hmm.
Now she is in a realm where Redactant's sister is. It's Redactant's sister's domain. So right now she's just met the sister. So she's meeting her sister in law.
Mm.
And that's where
Okay.
it's ended right now.
Ah, all right, interesting. So then she's kind of like going through, you know how like you newlywed couples, go meet the family, and it feels like a daunting, task having to meet everybody, getting to know their personalities, whether they accept you or not. I feel like you took that and cranked that by a million because I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared for her.
Though what's kind of interesting about this meeting, this is actually a few years into their relationship.
Mhm.
So, like the first season, as short as it was, I was trying to show that this years were passing. Like there was the first year when Redacted was showing all of her abilities, and Brenda was like, "You don't have to do this to impress me. I love you as you are."
Mhm.
And then 5 years went by, and Brenda was like, "I don't think I know your real non-human name." Like Redacted was going by Christina because that
Mhm.
was the name Brenda gave her, but she was like, "We've been together for so long, I need to know your real name." And
Ooh.
Redacted was like, "You sure?" Brenda was like, "Yeah, I want to know it." And then she ends up learning how to fully say it, and Redacted kind of got caught up in the feelings and forgot, "Oh, my name summons my family. This is not good."
Ah, right, yeah.
This is like, I would say, 4 to 5 years into their relationship. It doesn't seem long because I was doing like time skips, but they are in an established relationship. They are married,
Mhm.
and Brenda is like, I'm in this relationship. I love this person. I love this human, and she says that Redacted is human. I love her with all my heart. I'm ready to risk everything to show that. And
Hmm.
it's like, oh my God, Brenda, you're such a love struck idiot. You're so dumb yet so sweet.
And I guess she kind of falls in, gives her the entire name, and that's where shit really hits the fan, doesn't it? In these few chapters, I kind of see her come from the supermarket as well. She's like, "Shit, I made a terrible mistake. I want you to go see my family and
Yeah.
everything." I just a quick side note. I really like the way how you draw these incredibly weird creatures coming out from like her room and everything. That genuine. I didn't like the bottom creature, the way how it looked to the MC. Oh my god! I just want to say you're really good at that. You're really good at drawing those kind of weird creatures.
Yeah. And I get a lot of my inspiration from a little bit from Lovecraft, but also a little
Hmm.
bit from John Carpenter's work. I really
What's a
like the movie.
Lovecraft?
Lovecraftian, the
So,
Kraken, the
yeah.
yeah. He's made many different sort of monsters that you see in current like science fiction right now. He's invented a lot of it. What off the top of my head, I was just thinking the Kraken, the
There's Cthulhu.
yeah.
There's sometimes there's like the man in yellow in the
Mm-hmm.
yellow robe or something. I can never really pronounce any other names, and I guess that's kind of the point. I'm pretty sure they have like real pronunciations, but it's like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna look up. I'm not gonna look that up.
I mean, yeah, Lovecraft is H.P. Lovecraft, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, he created a lot of horror fiction that you kind of see today. Yeah, he's a Cthulhu. Um, man, I never remember these names, but he made a lot of novels on it, and you see a lot of it being referenced today. He sort of created that entire weird genre, and and I can see Lovecraft's inspiration in your work as well. So interesting.
I really like his work. I mean, he is the grandfather of cosmic horror.
Hmm.
Like, and despite his unsavory personality, usually starting out and I liked cosmic horror, I didn't
Hmm.
really know H.P. Lovecraft was an asshole until I looked into history. And even then, I was like, well, the only thing I can do is take what I like from his stories, but
Hmm.
also reference other creators who have been inclusive in cosmic horror.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's what's really important is
Wait,
to,
excuse me, right? Wait,
yeah.
what made him an asshole?
He was very racist, very homophobic, very xenophobic.
Mm.
If you
Oh,
know what if you hear the stories about what he named his black cat, yeah,
Oh, I can't imagine they were very, very, very friendly.
yeah, yeah, they weren't very nice. He
I,
was
uh,
from what I heard of
based
him
on
though,
based on that.
yeah, but from what I heard of him, apparently a lot of his work was based off of like the fear of the unknown. That's what he
Yeah,
feels. I don't know if he coined that term or not, but a lot of the creations he made, he was so because he feared that he had the xenophobia, homophobia. I don't know. It's weird to think about knowing that that kind of fear fueled into the works that we study today. I don't know how I feel about that, but I mean, it works. I guess it worked
it
back
worked.
then. Yeah. Speaking of cosmic horror, right, can can you tell us, or for anybody who doesn't know what it is, what is cosmic horror? What's it about? What does it entail?
Cosmic horror. It's a little bit of existential horror where
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're afraid of the unknown,
Yeah.
and but it's also a mix with sci-fi horror where it's like things are coming from the space,
Mm-hmm.
but it also references things on Earth, like because there are like certain parts of Earth, and there's parts on land, there's parts in the ocean, in the
Mm-hmm.
forest, everywhere. So that's kind of how cosmic horror plays into it.
Right.
It also plays into like the idea of different dimensions, different realms existing,
Mm-hmm.
and there are beings that walk among us, but we just can't see them because they're on a different plane than us. Like
Right.
we're three-dimensional, they might be on the four-dimensional plane or the fifth dimensional, or
Mm-hmm.
hell, there might be like a 10th dimension somewhere, but we
Yeah.
just can't comprehend it because we're still human and they're
Yeah.
not.
Right.
So it kind of plays on that.
Okay, interesting. So it's
I love
nothing.
that type of stuff, to be
Yeah,
honest.
some things that we can't really fathom in our heads, and when people create something like that or something akin to that, as you said, it's existential. It scares me, but I love that for some
Yeah,
reason. And I'm guessing, yeah, you took that exact same fear, fueled that back straight into your work.
I most certainly did. But for me, the thing I really liked was to combine cosmic horror and romance.
Hmm, that's not
That
something I.
kind of,
That is not
yeah.
like a. That's a pretty weird combination.
Um, a quick,
Uh, oh,
hmm?
sure.
No, what were you gonna
Okay.
say?
And and that was kind of the reason why when I was doing our universe and I did the genres, I was going to do horror and romance, but for the way the story was panning out, the horror aspect didn't come until later. So I
Hmm.
thought it would be better to like just do it sci-fi and romance instead.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay, interesting. I like that. Um, I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, how did you envision like the romance and the cosmic horror to sort of play out like the way it did? Because I certainly can't think of a story of how like you can find romance in something that you can't even fathom in your own head with a creature that you can't fathom in your own head. How did you kind of reach that kind of conclusion? How did you mix them together? Well, so.
Yes, for me, and this is kind of playing into how I see like romance in general and
Mhm.
relationships. For me, it's all about what you feel in your heart and
Right.
how you express that to somebody else.
Mhm.
Because there is an episode in our universe where Redactin is like, "How can you love something like me? Because I'm not human. I'm not like you. I don't bleed red like you do. I have
Right.
stars for my eyes. I could probably level this whole world. How can you love me?" And Brenda It's like the little things. When she's warm when she touches her. She
Mm-hmm.
blushes when she smiles. And when they lay together in bed, she can feel her heart beat against her own. That's how she knows that she's human. And that's how she knows that she loves her. It's like
Human
those.
meaning, when you say human, do you mean like, because like she clearly isn't actually human,
Yeah, she's
right?
not really human.
I guess she got
Well,
that human characteristic, something that
yeah,
we be
like
able to.
she has a heart, she, and such like that, I
Exactly.
guess.
Like it has like the human essence, like the things
Mm-hmm.
that are attached to the soul, like what makes us human outside of our physical form, outside of our biology, outside of the way we think compared to animals.
Mm-hmm.
It's always attached to what we feel in our hearts, like our sentiments,
Mm-hmm.
like the emotions that we possess.
Ah, that's pretty. That's a nice way to think about it. Okay. Yeah, Prince. What were you saying before?
I mean, I was gonna ask the next question, but I'm glad we went down that road.
Yeah, that's
you
that's
know.
nice. I mean, it's weird to think about how you'd consider love between two different worlds, two different entities. But when you bring in these very small little human interactions, it makes it all. It's a nice knot. It's a nice little bow on that little relationship. That's how I see it.
So a quick detraction from the web team or web comics in general.
Mm-hmm.
You said you were interested in engineering, Jenny.
Yeah. So I love art, and my family is art based, but I am studying to be an electrical engineer. That's my that's actually my second favorite thing in life. I really like working with hardware. I like building circuits, and I like working with electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So parts of my brain. I like art and I like my engineering.
Oh, interesting.
That's cool.
I mean, it's pretty. I mean, it's always interesting hearing about like web comics or just artists in general, like passions or hobbies or perhaps career paths outside doing comics, because there are quite a lot of them which you don't expect. Like I would never expected engineering.
I mean, but it is like you kind of like I would think like you'd have to draw and map out certain such for engineering, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before making these comics, you were still and are still attending school, yeah?
Yeah, I'm actually in my fourth year, so I am a senior, but I will not
Mm.
be graduating this year. For the first 2 years in my college career, I was in the honors college. I go to UIC, which is University of Illinois Chicago, for people that don't go who don't live in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And the honors college doesn't really tie well with the engineering college. They have a different criteria that doesn't really pair well for someone who's in engineering. It's very out it takes a lot of energy in you, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not going to kill myself trying to get these grades, trying to maintain a 5.0 5.5 GPA when I know I can
Uh,
pass
Is that high? I
my
don't know if it is or
engineering.
not.
it is. It's pretty high. It's like
Oh.
It's very
is
high.
it when 5 point such, right? Is that like unweighted or weighted?
I think that's unweighted.
Yeah,
I'm kind of
because
yeah, I'm kind of exaggerating, but like the point was that I'm not going to try and kill myself over grades when it's like from engineering, and the honors college is just something extra to put on a resume when really they don't really
care.
employers are going to care more about my work experience than
Yeah.
what honors college I went to. So I was like, this was nice, but I know what I want, so I'm going to have to drop this for engineering.
Wait, what's weighted and unweighted?
Unweighted is like, all right. So for like weighted, right? If you have like a 4.0, right? I think
Uh huh.
4.0 is the highest you can get for weighted. I'm pretty sure. And that's like all A's. Like you get
Oh.
A's and such.
Oh, that's
And
that's hard.
unweighted, I don't know how unweighted works. I've always had like weighted GPAs and such. So,
Oh, Jenny, you're
but
working
that's the
hard
only
though.
way you can get above 4.0, I think. Don't
Ah.
quote me on that though.
I honestly I don't understand it either. I think it has something to do with like if you're taking like AP or IB or IBA classes or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Ah, interesting. I thought
Wait,
weighted
is
and
AP weighted or unweighted? Because like I take an AP class right now.
JP is unweighted. Don't ask me. I just look at my grade and go like, yeah, okay, I'll take it.
But
That's
how do you
interesting,
do this weekly though? With all this like, because as you've already established, right? It's obviously pretty hectic for you as of right now. How do you? Because like, granted, because the past two interviews we've had for Cyril and Jay, I don't think they do weekly weekly webtoons, which isn't like, which granted everyone has their own situations, right? It's obviously not a complete negative, but how are you able to do this weekly, like every time, you know?
Usually, I think, and the advantage of being a college kid is that you get breaks. So there's winter break, there's spring break, there's summer break. What I do is I make buffer during those breaks. So a lot of the buffer that I make for our universe and My Demon Valentine, that's stuff I've done when I had the time off. And if I am making something during the week, it's usually during the later hours during each day, and then I post on the weekend.
How much
So
did you make last winter then? Like winter break?
Um, I made about like 10 episodes worth
Oh.
of updates. Yeah.
Wow.
10
that's
episodes just
also-
for winter break's like the biggest break, I'm pretty sure. So.
Yeah.
And when did you start
But
our
that's-
universe?
Universe. I actually started our universe for Webtoon. It was June 2019, but on Tapas it was December 2018. So it's actually a little bit older than. It's a little bit older than that, like 1 to 2 years. But I've been making an update for that, and that's excluding any development I do for like other comics. So when I'm on break, I'm trying to make sure I'm keeping a steady update on all the comic ideas I want. But I always make time for like the two main ones. So for the two main ones, I was able to make all the updates for that, and then I just have my buffer.
What about summer break then? Like, you must have done a lot for summer break then, since you. How many? Can you like try remember how much you did over the summer then?
For break, it wasn't that much, only because I also do internships. So I do electrical engineering internships for ComEd, and after I'm done with work, I come back home and then I do scripts and then I do sketches. I like to do the scripts and sketches over summer break, and then I have the rest of the year to work on things.
All right, that's cool. So speaking of projects, then before the interview, we briefly talked about your future projects, right? And looking at this now, once again, and I quote, your series list says 45.
My heart.
Which is the most even if I were to look at my idea Google Doc, I think maybe I have 30, 20. That's never 54, and these are just afterthoughts. Does this all just come to your head, or are you actively looking for it? I don't know. This is a lot, and it's color coded and everything. I wish I could show you guys. Can we edit this in? I don't even know.
Yeah, it's post production. If you send it, you can send it to me and I'll edit it in. But I'm curious to see.
Do you mind, Jenny?
You can send it, but I can also give you an updated list. It's actually been condensed from 45 to 42 because some of these comics are gonna be in collections. So there's a lot of these comics are short, so I can easily knock them out. I'm just waiting until my first two are done so I can knock them out. But they've been condensed into comic collections, so I can send you the updated version if you'd like.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, sure. We can show that up on the screen now. Actually, bam.
Okay. Let me send it through Discord.
Yeah.
So, that being said, with all these projects, I just randomly chose which categories this was in, but do you want to explain the concept for the talisman?
Talisman.
The talisman?
Talisman. Talisman. Come on.
Okay. The talisman. Oh my gosh, this is from my heydays when I was.
Heyday.
I was a freshman in high school, and I was still in the creepypasta fandom. So
Ooh.
this was a. I know I'm aging
Um,
myself.
I remember creepypasta Jeff the Killer. My guy. All right.
I know.
All right, you carry on, please.
So I actually wrote this story for school. It was a horror story, and the premise was that this young man came back to his family's house. There were talismans all over the roof of the place, all over the rooms. His father put them up to protect him from evil spirits in the forest. He takes them down because he doesn't believe in evil spirits. The next thing he knows, there is a little girl standing in the yard just watching over the house, and bad things happen.
Oh.
Oh my.
As basic as that sounds, I'm actually my heart raced a bit. My heart high-key raced a bit just now. Creepy girl, how many talisman can cover a house? That costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a digression, though. What am I talking about? Anyway, were you always interested in comics?
Yeah, I actually was. I've been doing comics as. I think about it. I've been doing comics for nearly most of my life. Like, I think I
Wow.
started when I was around. And that's actually when I was reading Captain Underpants.
Oh
and
yeah.
when George and her were doing their comics. And I was like, I could do this.
Oh, interesting.
Got me into it.
Yeah.
Captain Underpants
I
was
find-
basically what got you into the whole comic making thing.
You bet.
I find Captain Underpants a lot of people's inspirations, not even gonna lie. A lot of people, like content creators, they're always talking about Captain Underpants and the attack of the talking toilets or something like that.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
were,
I remember that one.
that's like main inspiration for people. Like they'd be inspired of the two kids just drawing in their treehouse, making comics and selling it on the playground. They wanted to do that kind of stuff too. So I mean, it's not even a surprise to me anymore.
This is the first time I've heard anyone say that, to be honest.
I mean,
Actually,
but, yeah,
the fact that
it
they
makes
would
sense.
include like because they would always include like the comics by Harold and George, and it was, you could tell it was by kids. It was written and drawn by kids, and I was a kid, and I was like, I could do that because I liked reading their little segments, and I was like,
Yeah.
these are fun to read. I want to make something like that.
yeah.
How was the movie? Just a side note. Did you ever watch the movie?
I watched the movie for a second. I didn't.
I don't think I watched the movie. I wanted to though. I didn't have time.
I watched my brother watch it, and I don't know why he was giggling. He's like 16, but he was watching it, and I just remember the animation was nice. I didn't like Kevin Hart's voice acting. Other than that, it was a standard film, and they were just making fart jokes everywhere.
I mean, that's to be expected, I guess. Captain Underpants, for God's
Yeah.
sake.
Speaking of like I'm also like literature. Do you have any formal knowledge on like storytelling and like
I don't think calling Captain Underpants literature felt very weird to hear, but go on.
Bro, Captain Underpants is the top tier literature. You have
Because
like
I'm thinking like Shakespeare when you say literature.
you have
right?
Shakespeare, you have Lovecraft, and then you have Attack on the Talking Toilets. Okay. Besides that, yeah, Jenny, you're very like reading this. You're very well. Like the comics are very well structured and like they're very well done. Do you have like formal knowledge in terms of like literature and storytelling?
Well, again, my family, we are a family of artists. So my dad, he is a storyteller. He doesn't write stories, doesn't write novels, but he used to do like the old-fashioned storytelling by oral. Like you tell your story and you make it up as you go. So I learned a lot of my storytelling from him. But also, when I was a kid, I read Goosebumps. I read Stephen King's book. I read Nancy Drew, The Hardy Boys. I really like things with mystery and horror and thriller. So a lot of my storytelling comes from that, and it also comes from my father. So shout out to you.
Shout out to Jenny's dad. That's interesting though. So you'd say it's more so like driven through like a family. It's been passed down. That kind of storytelling. Would you say okay? So you said like your dad. He learned like making up stories on the spot. Would you say you improved upon that and made more structured stories from that, or do you sort of, in the same way, make up stories a lot on this, on the spot?
Oh, definitely. I actually think that the stories that I structured, the stories I write scripts for, are much more. They're more dialectic. They're more
Hmm.
suspenseful. They're stronger. They're more organized. And this is some advice I do give out to people who are like listening right now.
Hmm.
Get feedback from good people. Like
Yeah.
if you want feedback on the story, if you want to know how it sounds, read it out to somebody and have them give their feedback on how it sounds for them. And
Hmm.
that's usually what I do. I go to people that I trust to have good judgment. I sometimes actually tell some of my stories to my father. Be like, "Hey, I'm writing this scene for a comic. Tell me what you think." And he usually gives me like some amazing feedback. So that's
Ah.
some good advice I want to give to people.
Oh, okay. That's super nice of him.
I just wanna. I was gonna ask this like three questions later, but now that you talk about like your history with like art, like your art oriented family, you know, so basically, I'm gonna just say an experience I have, right? So like at my school, right?
Yeah.
It's a Catholic high school, right? So I remember there was this in the art hallway. There was this like poster. Wait, why am I hearing myself?
Yeah.
Anyway, there was this poster, like a girl, I remember a senior at the time, a year ago. They made a chalk of the female body, right? But it was like kind of like waist up to the head, right?
Great.
And it showed chalked breasts, right? And basically, in this school, right, they made her like wipe off like the breasts, right? Even though it's fine to put like if it's like Catholic oriented like imagery, right? Like if it's like theological, right, like that, they don't care. But if it's like for some reason they held that one restriction and made her like wipe the breasts off, right? So
That's sad.
do you think there should be restrictions on art in schools and such as interpretations in the example that I just said?
I personally for me, I don't think so. I do think that art is a conversation, and there are certain things that need to be discussed. I do understand that there are certain topics that children or like young minors cannot really understand yet, and they
Hmm.
But
probably
high
shouldn't be exposed.
schoolers, fair enough.
High school, okay, high schoolers, I do think that they are at the age where they can understand things a little bit more, so they can be exposed to things like nudity and other taboo or like generally taboo
Hmm.
topics because they're at that age where they're going to start understanding them anyway. And it's better for them to learn it in a safe environment and understand boundaries than to go out into the world and learn it and they don't know what to do.
Hmm. Right.
And I feel that way with a lot of things, but I especially feel that way with art because art is self expression.
Hmm.
I know it is for me,
Yeah.
and I know it is for a lot of people. And to try and sense to try and censor art is to also censor somebody speaking.
Yeah.
Now, it can depend on what the message is sometimes, but usually when I say this, I mean it from like a good standpoint. Like you're trying to get a good message out to other people. You're
Hmm.
trying to inform people, you're trying to send like a positive message, and you're trying to help people think. Because art isn't just about looking at pretty pictures. Sometimes you just want to think about it.
Hmm.
I
That's
just realized it might have been pastel instead of chalk, but I'm not sure. Anyway, what got you, now that you said all that, right? What got you into doing or drawing NSFW content?
Hmm. Actually, don't remember the exact thing. I just knew that as as a young as a teenager, so like around 13, 14, as I was slowly learning how to improve my skills, I took up studying the nude body. So like I was reading biological books, I was reading historical books. I'd never went to like a drawing class where somebody was naked, but I did like go to more drawing classes to like study the real human body. And slowly over time I was like, I could draw nudity. And again, my family is artistic, so it wasn't really taboo to think about the human body in its nude form. It was just a human body. And at the time I already was like, well, I already know what sex is like. I've talked to it with my parents. It's not taboo. And I know that I'm safe and I can express myself. So slowly I went from drawing to drawing nudity to drawing not safe for work. And it's not just about the sexual, it's not just about the sexual experience. It's also liberating. Like I know what I want as a person, and I know what makes me feel good personally. And also it's about the aesthetics. Like if you look at the Renaissance paintings, the ones with like the Greek statues or the Greek marble, anything like from Greek and Roman time and the Renaissance, it's all about the aesthetics. It's about how the body bends and how dynamic it is. So I'm always looking at that when I'm doing not safe for work.
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
Ferris,
Right.
quick question, right? So like the last, did you see the 3 NSFW art that
Oh
she
yeah,
sent, right?
they were super interesting.
Yeah.
No.
So like the third one, right? Do you think we'd be allowed to put down the screen then? Because it's not.
Let me
I
check.
don't think it's bad.
Let me check. I'm gonna have to have a quick look see, just so.
Yeah. Because I don't think it's bad. Because I want to talk about it. Because like clearly there is no lust in this image.
I'm gonna
I
put it
guess
on the
there
screen
is
for
a
like
bit,
2
but, like-
seconds. There. There, now you've seen it.
I really, there's something about it. It's like, even if there is like lust behind it, if there is at all, I just can't really see it as that. You know?
You know
There's
what
something
I
about
see?
it, I guess.
I see more so. I mean, a lot of like sexual, NSFW content when they're showing people having having sex. When they draw it like this, there's far more. There's a conversation going on. Right? I see it as a conversation, interaction, a transaction between two individuals. There's with the skin on skin contact, with the way that I see it more so as like two people intertwining and getting extremely close to each other. Bearing themselves out. That's what I see true proper love, and that's what I see over here in this painting. Correct me if I'm wrong though.
It's different than most of what I see on Twitter, at least whenever I do come across it. For NSF, as far as NSFW art goes, this is probably the most like mature, but not in the sense of like NSFW, but in the sense of like maybe the way you described it, Jenny, liberation, I guess, because it isn't just like it isn't a.
Oh my god, you okay?
Because it incorporates the emotion. There's an emotion behind it, I guess, is the best way I can describe it.
Right. Like when I make NSFW content, like there is a sexual aspect to it, but there's also like emotions to it. Like I want you to feel a certain way when you look at my stuff. I also want you to like stop and stare at it a little bit, not just because somebody is getting it on with someone else, but also it's like, oh, this makes me feel a certain way, or oh, this art's kind of nice, I like it, or oh, the aesthetics here is like wonderful, and I always go for the aesthetics. So that's mostly why I like doing NSFW. It's for the aesthetics mostly.
I can imagine.
I can
That's
definitely
nice.
get behind the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like it definitely makes it's like because nowadays, right? It's just like a lot. Anytime I see NSFW drawn art, right? Whether it's on Twitter or Discord, over, it's like it's always lustful, right? It's been a long time, if ever, since I've actually seen something where there's clear emotion, along with lust, or just emotion by itself, And I really can see that with your work, and I really do love it in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
And I definitely I definitely wish to see you improve in the coming future, such.
there's more where that came from.
Yeah. Where can we find this work though?
Well, I I do have a NSFW Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
I generally try not to give it out too easily, only because I know, or I at least have a big inkling that some of my readers are minors, or at least I
Uh,
don't know. I do assume that I have a mature audience, that most of my readers are 18 and over, or
mhm.
they're at least legal in wherever they're living. But I'm always going like, I don't want to make it easy for like kids to
Yeah.
see my stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know they're gonna see it anyway, but I don't want them to see it because I made it easy for them.
Yeah, they can figure it out themselves. They'll find you one way or
Yeah,
another. Yeah.
they'll fi- they'll find me, not because I helped them.
Can you send it in the GC then, real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they're gonna try to look through our follows. They're gonna be sneaky.
Oh, I'll just like we'll have a way. For it.
Yeah.
Anyway, not
And
to
you-
sound creepy as hell. How is upholding a Patreon or doing commission work?
No, it's a little bit of a slow business, only because I'm doing it as I go along.
Mhm.
So for Patreon, I do monthly updates. I'm mostly posting the buffer that I make for my comics through there,
Mhm.
just so like people can read it a little bit earlier. But other than that, I do commissions few and far in between. I'm not really open for them right now, only because I'm in school. But when
Right.
I'm on break, I usually take them. And I've never done NSFW commissions yet, so I haven't done those yet. I am
Ah.
excited to get started for those, but I've mostly done commissions of people's characters. I
Mhm.
actually did one for the webtoon comic hub server, so
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Discord
yeah.
server. If you
Webcomic sub?
Yeah, webcomics hub.
Yeah.
Like if you know who Nen is, he asked
Ah,
a
Nen.
commission for me
Oh,
for
that's
a
nice
little
of him.
bear.
That's nice of him. Okay. Have you got anything that you haven't been, so happy to do? Like, have you had to turn down any sort of like commissions or work?
Not yet, no. Mostly
Oh,
because
lucky.
I also like to put down what I can and can't do on my commission sheet.
Mhm.
I have 3 sections: what I can do, what I can't do yet. So
Mhm.
there are certain things I can't draw yet, and I'm honest about that. But I'm always willing to learn.
Mhm.
But there are certain things I will not do, and no amount of money will make me do it.
So what's an example of that then? Like, what's your limit, the bar?
Uh, I will not do like anything that's. If it comes to like NSFW type of stuff, I will not do anything that's like heavy.
Oh yeah.
None of that heavy
Like
fetish
gore?
stuff. Yeah, I can't do like heavy gore or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or just in general trying to appeal to a harmful propaganda or ideology. Like I'm not gonna write your 4chan. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna make your 4chan like rants. You do that on your own time.
All right.
But anything else is like fair game. Like I'm open to like doing smut commissions, but again, I have my limits.
It's
Okay.
understandable.
Yeah, yeah.
The funny enough, my limit
Hold on.
is not furry stuff. I don't mind doing anything that's furry. I like I like drawing with that, so that's not really a problem for me. I like it.
Okay.
All right.
So it seems
So-
like your bracket of like what you'd like to draw it's a bit wider than what regular artists would really put up. That's interesting. It's nice.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have their own dignity. They would say, I'll never draw furries till the day I die because I have my pride. But some people.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I had that.
personally don't get that.
I used to have that, but I think I don't know. It was more so I didn't want to be looked at a certain way within the community, but
You didn't want to be known as the guy that draws furries. or
yeah, and it's a childish way to look at it, honestly.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, you grew out of it, so that's what's
yeah.
important.
Yeah, so I'd usually commission anybody, but it seems like you keep yourself quite open, Jenny, to a lot of the commissions that people give you. That's nice. There's not many people. I mean, there are a few people, but there's not many people who would be so open and make those kind of commissions. So that's cool.
Honestly, my won't do's are mostly just common sense or
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that most decent people don't really feel comfortable doing.
Mhm.
So as long as you're not asking me for anything like that, I'm generally okay with doing a commission for you.
Ah, okay, okay. That's
Now,
nice.
just referring back to the how should I put it? Ambitious now 42 series list, right?
Yeah.
I would think you'd have to have a lot of motivation to do all this, right? So would you say that you are a properly motivated person naturally, or if you aren't, how do you get through the times where you just can't pick up your pencil or type that script?
See, I think for a lot of these stories, these are stories that I do want to tell. I've been wanting to tell them for up to 15 years because a lot of these stories are on and off, on and off. I worked on them. Some of them have been posted to DeviantArt, but then they went into hiatus hell and development hell at the same time.
Oh lord.
And for the moments, I'm not really motivated, and that's just because school is being hectic or I'm just tired. I usually put on some music. I love listening to music while I'm working, and I like to listen to podcasts too.
Mm.
So for podcasts, I listen to like Achievement Hunter or the Let's Plays that they do.
Oh
I
yeah.
listen to Binging
What's
with
achievement
Davish.
hunter?
Achievement Hunter is one of those. It's a gaming YouTube channel, but I really like their stuff. There's like a team of 6 guys that like play games. Sometimes they spread out, sometimes they're together, but it's fun. I like their content.
Mhm.
Let me look
Listen,
them up real quick, actually.
Uh,
go ahead. Binging
Never.
with Davish and like
Binging with
oh my
Davish.
god, his food is
yeah.
amazing. Sorry.
Bro, when I get my own dorm, when I get my dorm, bro, when I move out, I'm gonna do all the recipes. I'm gonna do all
He's
the recipes, bro.
all his recipes are so good. Oh my god, I love watching him cook. In the basics as well. I've been sick in it so much.
And it's like he makes it so easy. So it's like and his voice is like it's very soothing.
Yeah.
It's ASMR without truly being ASMR, and it's like before I
Unintentional
know it,
ASMR.
unintentional.
Oh, I feel like he knows what he's doing. He knows his voice is super sexy and just making the food. I love it though. I wouldn't say otherwise. I love it.
In that case, what else is there? Oh, our universe, right? I called it abomination, but
Huh.
you've established that it's her family.
Yeah, they're all of those beings that appear. Oh, most of the beings that appear, most of them that appear, that's her family. The green ones, and I think when you read the story, you'll figure it out. The green ones are supposed to be past lovers.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Cause I asked you before, and it was like, you said exes, but like when you were talking earlier, you said family. I'm like, was I wrong?
No. You're right. You're right. There's like 2 categories. All of the Rambos that you see, they're family. But anyone that's like green with long hair, that's a past lover. They're sort of
Ah.
they're color coordinated. I, there's a method to my madness.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
When
the
will you
idea-
give redacted a proper name?
I mean, let's be honest. There's probably never gonna be a guarantee way I'll pronounce the name. I'd probably have to like make it. I don't know. The idea is that it's supposed to be a song, and it's supposed to be a song inspired by psychedelic rock. So something like the early Beatles, the Zombies, the Association, Fleetwood Mac, anything from the late 60s, early 70s that has that kind of cello sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be kind of haunting, but not like in a bad way. Kind of like you're being hypnotized and you don't know it until you're like in a field of flowers with a random woman with long hair and she beckons you to go off to the distance and you go
Uh,
with her.
Jeez.
that's so
No,
descriptive.
it's like a whole siren thing. Like I wish there was
It's like
like some like
yeah, it's like a
like
siren,
music
yeah.
video or
Mm-hmm.
something like just to put in the background and watch as I read it or something. I don't
I'd
know.
love if how webtoon originals have that sort of have turned music on as
Oh my
like
gosh, yes.
if you
Yeah,
could do that, that would be amazing. Oh,
I would love to listen to
I should,
that. You know.
I wonder how
honestly,
Brenda learned it
I
though.
love to. I I really wanted to drive the point that Brenda is the because she was the only one to learn her name.
Mm-hmm.
Like she had past lovers before, and they tried to, and they couldn't, and they just stuck with the human name that they gave her. But Brenda was like, "No, I want to learn what your name is. I've been with you for 5+ years, and I can't keep calling you Christina because even though you love that name, even though that's the name I gave you,
Mm-hmm.
I want to know the name that you were born with. I want to know the name that you are proud of." Like she likes Christina, but she also likes her own name, and it's
Yeah.
like Brenda's like, yeah, I wanna get to know that name.
It's like the entire own side to her. It's like I want to learn that side of you. I want to learn this
Yeah.
you, the true you. That's nice.
I don't know if I recall right, but when Brenda first like sang that song, what was Redacted's reaction of that?
Reaction was it was kind of startlement because
Mm-hmm.
she didn't really think that Brenda was gonna immediately because the first time she told her her name, she was like, she's not gonna know how to pronounce it. She's not gonna even remember this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the episode after that where she's like, it's okay for me to tell my lovers my name because they're never gonna remember it. They're never gonna say it. I can tell them my name. I can sing them my name, and they'll be safe because I know that they'll just stick with the human name they gave me.
Mm-hmm.
But Brenda kind of surprised her because immediately she was like, "Oh, it's such and such," and Redacted is like, "No, it's not. Keep trying." But she says it in that type of, "No, you're wrong, but it's cute that he tried" type of voice. But Brenda was like, "No, I'm gonna learn it." And then Redacted is like, "Oh shit, she's actually gonna try and learn this."
Started sweating and everything. I found it funny.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to start any beef between the two sides of webtoon and Tapas, but I just wanted to ask, what do you prefer to upload on? What is your preferred platform to upload on webtoon? Either webtoon or Tapastic, because I know that they have their own little side to them. Tapastic, I believe, have a more engaged community, while webtoon has a higher reader base. What do you prefer?
Hmm. It is a good question, and there are bits and pieces I like of both
Mm-hmm.
communities. For Webtoon, actually, my readership has been the most engaged community, at least for readers.
Oh.
People are asking questions, people are like pointing things out. Like I have a reader in the comic section who is always going like, "Look guys, Redacted's eyes have changed. Her eyes are not purple anymore, they're blue. Something is going wrong." Or it's like, "Brenda's not wearing the necklace."
That's precious.
So Webtoons, the readers are very active,
Mhm.
but on Tappet, that's the community where I can really connect to the creators.
Mhm.
And I've actually met a lot of them through the Tapas forums. I've actually met up with them in real life. We've had conversations. We became fast friends.
Mm.
I like hanging out with them. A lot of them don't live in the Chicago area. Some of them used to, but then they moved. But they come over back on to Chicago and we hang out, we have fun.
Oh, that's cool.
And I like a little bit of both worlds. So I can't really say I pick a favorite.
Mhm.
Right now, Webtoons might be winning because that's the one with the most like subs and the most
Mhm.
readers actually physically engaging.
Right.
But Tapas still has a nice place in my heart because that's where I've met a lot of my creator friends. That's where I've really made a lot of good connections. So I don't know. I can't really pick a favorite.
That's fine. That's
It's
fine.
understandable.
Okay. But speaking on terms of webtoon, if often when webtoons are published, they get quite some traction. Except webtoon is a full time commitment. It's you have to be doing it, every week, 24/7. Would you do webtoon full time if offered?
Oh, I've been asked this before.
Yeah.
My answer is always maybe.
Right.
That is a maybe leaning towards depending on my engineering career.
Mhm.
Again, as I mentioned earlier, I do internships. I'm working with ComEd. I'm actually going to get a job there after I
Ooh.
graduate.
What's
And that is
what?
Commerce at Wealth. That is an engineering firm. It's the biggest electricity company in the Midwest. If you go to Chicago and you see like the manholes, ComEd will be on the manhole. They'll have their trucks around,
Mhm.
all of the lights and the wiring. That's ComEd. Everybody is hooked up to ComEd except one little area in the middle of Illinois, which is kind of crazy. What can you do? So I like the company. I like what they stand for, and I would like to start my career there. Now, if Webtoon were to offer me something, I would have to take some consideration. It depends on what kind of contract they're giving me, how long that contract is,
Mhm.
and how much time I can schedule between working as an engineer and working as a full-time artist for a full-time creator for Webtoon.
Right.
Because let's be honest, I'm not going to give up my engineering. I love engineering. I love working with
Yep.
circuits. But if I were to give, I'm not just going to say a flat out no. I'm not just going to reject it. I'm going to give it some time and
Mhm.
thought. And I will consult some people who have worked with Webtoon or family because, again, we're artist family, but we're also like a STEM family. So a lot of
Mhm.
us do it back to back. Like my mom, she is a chemist, but she
Right.
also used to sing opera. Like she sang opera for the
Ah.
Chicago Symphony. So she was able to like do back and forth. So if she can
Mhm.
do it, I could probably do it. That's why I say maybe.
Okay, so I guess it's more so finding that balance between the
Yeah.
career life and art life. That's respectable. I understand that.
So when is our universe ending, and what are your plans after it ends?
I
I
don't
al-
really have like a scheduled date. I do know I do know how many chapters it'll be and then it ends. It's gonna be 10 chapters
Mhm.
plus an epilogue, like 10 or so chapters plus an epilogue. And then once it's done, this is technically spoilers, but it's whatever. So I'm actually planning on
Oh wait, spoilers ahead, guys. If you if
it,
you if you're watching our
yeah.
universe or reading our universe, please just go into this very carefully.
So I would like to give them cameos in my other stories,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
but as reincarnations. So it's like there's still a couple in this universe, but they're reincarnated.
so they have no
Reincarnated.
real connection to the original story.
Yeah, there's no real connection to to the OG story. It's just that Brenda and Redactant, they're in this story, they're in this universe, but they're not Brenda and Redactant. They're like these other two girls who are in love, or they
Just
might be a
counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Ah.
That's cool.
yeah, and it kind of goes back to the original idea I want for them that they are like true love, like it's kindred spirits, and like where wherever you go, or if I die or if you die,
Mm-hmm.
we'll still be together somewhere down the line.
That sounds like it's like foreshadowing something bad. I'm kind of scared now.
Yeah,
Wait.
and
Is
that's
My
what.
Demon Valentine gonna have their own cameos as well, like those characters?
Yeah, they're actually gonna be cameoed into season 3, and
Yeah!
Okay,
yeah,
all right. Yeah, he's so
well,
excited, man.
well, they have to because like Brenda and Sandra, they're cousins.
Aw. Oh.
Wait, did you do that in like
Wait.
a mini comic, like in like between like chapters or something?
It was during My Demon Valentine when Brenda and Sandra Well, Sandra was at the movies with Adonis, and they just got out of another movie, which, by the way, was a cameo for a comic I was working on. So if you saw that episode, that scene with the girl running, that's from another story.
Oh
And they
my god, it's
walk
like a
out, and
Marvel
they,
universe.
yeah,
It's amazing.
and the cousins see each other, and they're happy to see each other. And Adonis is standing next to Redacted, and they go like, "Our humans are so cute."
I think I remember something. If so, ah.
Man, my heart, my heart. Oh, that's I like that. Okay. So before we end off this interview, do you have any sort of final thoughts, Jenny? You know that you want to give to the audience?
Any advice that you haven't given already?
As a creator who works on multiple stories and is trying to work on multiple stories, that 42 comic list is not a joke. I am trying to work on all of them. I will say take breaks. Like
Yeah.
we're only human. We are not super beings, and there's so many stories about young artists who are breaking their wrists, who are hurting their bodies because they're overworking, and they're trying to like meet these impossible deadlines with these 100 panel updates a week, and it's like, no, you're a child. You're not even like 21 yet. Slow down. You have your life ahead of you. You should not be stressing out your body as much as you do just to like